Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. My name is Dalton and today we're going to be talking about Dr. Sleep. This film is a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This film was directed by Mike Flanagan and stars Ewan McGregor as a grown-up Danny Torrance. So obviously this film had a lot of hype going into it. It is a sequel to the fucking Shining, which is one of the best horror movies ever made. And, you know, there was also a lot of skepticism going into it, like, should the sequel be made to that? And it is based on Stephen King's book, he did write a follow-up to The Shining, titled Dr. Sleep. Now, I do want to point out this review is coming from the perspective of someone who has not read either book. I'm just a really big fan of Stanley Kubrick's film, and therefore, naturally, I was very excited to see the story continue in Dr. Sleep. And I do have to say, while it's not the movie that you will probably expect it to be, this is a very, very good film. If you're looking for a lot of horror, like jumpy horror, you're going to be disappointed. This film is actually mostly just a science fiction adventure without, you know, a moving sense of adventure, more of a thriller, a science fiction thriller. And it's exceptionally well done. Mike Flanagan does a great job helming sequences that are designed to make you, look and awe and wonder and then even get scared. It does remember that it is a horror film and it will scare you from time to time. I thought the story was very interesting and the script was very well written. Ewan McGregor gives a great performance as Danny Torrance, and Rebecca Ferguson kills it as the film's villain. Although I gotta say the standout performance was the little girl whose name is leaving me, but she, I think, gives the best performance in all of the film. The cinematography and set design is also exceptionally well done. Yes, you do get to revisit some iconic sets from The Shining, but they also have brand new sets that really sort of give off the vibe of the film and really dive into it. My favorite thing about this film is it's also very deep thematically. This film very much deals with the themes of recovering from addiction and childhood trauma, all wrapped into one horror science fiction thrill ride, and it really is a very unique and interesting movie. And I should say, it is nothing like The Shining. Don't go in expecting it to be just like The Shining. It's really nothing like that film, although it does like to remind you that it's part of the Shining world. They bring in the original score a bunch of times. The only negative I really have with this film is you do feel its length. It's a bit of a longer horror film, and while each scene in this movie has a purpose, there isn't a scene without purpose, like a narrative purpose. You'll see something happen early on in one scene so that when something crazy happens in this scene, you don't think, oh, well, how did that happen? Because it does set it up earlier in the film. And while I prefer scenes like that as compared to lazy writing and just dropping, like, oh, by the way, we can do this in one line, I prefer fleshed out scenes. But some of the fleshed out scenes could have been part of other sequences, and you really could have gotten down this runtime and made a more compact film. The pacing does suffer a little bit. But that's really the only issue I have with this film. I thoroughly enjoyed every other aspect of this. I really love Mike Flanagan as a director, and he really knocked it out of the park. There were several times where my audience were clapping and cheering throughout the film, and some of it wasn't even to the stuff that was Shining related. Some of it was just really well done scenes that people clapped, which was really cool to be a part of. So overall, I really, really enjoyed Dr. Sleep. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's nothing like The Shining, but it's kind of a good thing. But however, if you are a fan of The Shining, it does give you a lot to smile at. And while the horror elements are good, it's mostly a science fiction thriller, and it does a great job of doing both. I'm gonna give Dr. Sleep an A. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.